Hello, I'm Philip Sneller. Welcome to Window on the Word. Today, let's turn our focus together to Luke chapter 9. Having called together the 12, he gave them power and authority over all demons and to cure diseases. And he sent them out to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. And he said to them, take along nothing for your journey, neither a staff, nor a knapsack, nor bread, nor money, nor each having two tunics. And whatever house you enter, stay there, and depart from there. And wherever they do not welcome you, when you depart from that city, shake the dust from your feet as a testimony against them. And going out, they went through the villages, preaching and healing everywhere. Now Herod the Tetrarch heard about all that was happening, and he was greatly perplexed, because it was said by some that John had been raised from the dead, and by some that Elijah had appeared, and by others that one of the prophets of old had risen. But Herod said, I beheaded John. But who is this concerning whom I hear these things? And he desired to see him. When the apostles had returned, they told him all that they had done. And taking them with him, he withdrew privately into a city called Bethsaida. But when the crowds learned, they followed him, and having welcomed them, he spoke to them concerning the kingdom of God, and was curing those who had need of healing. Now the day was beginning to decline, and the 12, having come, said to him, send the crowd away, so that they might go into the nearby villages and countryside, and find something to eat, because we are here in a desolate place. But he said to them, you give them something to eat. But they said, we have no more than 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, unless we go and purchase food for all these people. For there were about 5,000 men. But he said to his disciples, have them sit down in groups of about 50 each. And they did so, and had everyone sit down. And having taken the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven, gave thanks, and broke them, and gave them to the disciples to set before the crowd. And they all ate and were satisfied, and what was left over was picked up, 12 baskets of broken pieces. And it came about, when he was praying alone, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, who do the crowds say I am? And answering, they said, John the Baptist, and others Elijah, and others that one of the prophets of old has risen. And he said to them, and you, who do you say I am? And Peter answering said, the Christ of God. And having warned them, he ordered them to tell this to no one, saying, it is necessary for the Son of Man to suffer many things, and to be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes, and to be killed, and on the third day to be raised. And he was saying to all of them, if anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life because of me will save it. For what does it benefit a man, having gained the whole world, but having lost or forfeited himself? For whoever might be ashamed of me and my words, of this one the Son of Man will be ashamed when he comes in his own glory, and the Father's, and of the holy angels. But truly I say, Some who are standing here will not experience death until they see the kingdom of God." Now it took place about 8 days after these sayings, that having taken Peter and James and John, he went up on the mountain to pray. And it came about while he was praying that the appearance of his face became different, and his clothing became gleaming white, like a flash of lightning. And behold, two men were talking with him, who were Moses and Elijah, who, having appeared in glory, were talking about his departure, which he was about to fulfill at Jerusalem. Now Peter and those who were with him were overcome by sleep. But having come fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men who were standing with him. And it came about, when they were going away from him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good for us to be here. And let us make 3 tents, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he said. And while he was saying these things, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they became frightened when they entered the cloud. And a voice came from heaven, saying, "This is my Son, my chosen one. Listen to him." And when the voice had spoken, they found Jesus alone. And they kept silent and reported to no one in those days anything of what they had seen. And it came about on the next day, when they had come down from the mountain, a large crowd met him. And behold, a man from the crowd called out, saying, "Teacher, I beg you to look at my son, because he is my only child. And behold, a spirit seizes him, and he suddenly screams, and he convulses with foam at the mouth, and it scarcely departs from him, and severely beats him. And I have asked your disciples to drive it out, but they could not." And Jesus replied and said, "O faithless and perverted generation, how long am I to be with you and put up with you? Bring your son here." And while he was bringing him, the demon threw him to the ground and convulsed him. But Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, and healed the child, and gave him to his father. And all were amazed at the grandeur of God. But while they were all wondering about the things that happened, he said to his disciples, "Let these words sink into your ears. For the Son of Man is about to be given over into the hands of men." But they did not understand this saying, and it was hidden from them in order that they might not perceive it. And they were afraid to ask him about this saying. And an argument developed among them as to which of them might be greatest. And Jesus, perceiving the thought of their heart, having taken hold of a child, stood him beside himself, and said to them, "Whoever receives this child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. For the one who is least among you, this one is great." And having answered, John said, "Master, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we hindered him, because he does not follow along with us." But Jesus said to him, "Do not hinder him, for whoever is not against you is for you." And when the days of his ascension drew near, he set his face to go to Jerusalem. And he sent messengers ahead of him, and having gone, they entered a village of the Samaritans to prepare for him. But they did not welcome him, because his face was set to go to Jerusalem. And having seen this, the disciples James and John said, "Lord, Do you want us to call fire to come down from heaven and destroy them?" But having turned around, he rebuked them, and they proceeded to another village. And as they were going along the way, someone said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus said to him, "The foxes have dens, and the birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." And he said to another, "Follow me." But he said, "Lord, allow me to go first to bury my father." But he said to him, "Leave the dead to bury their own dead. But you go and proclaim far and wide the kingdom of God." And another said, "I will follow you, Lord, but first allow me to say farewell to those in my home." And Jesus said to him, "No one having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God." Thank you for listening. To God be the glory, and may his grace be with you.